Greetings viewers, my name is Catsarepointy and welcome to a brand new video. Now I did upload this video yesterday, but I had to take it down because I was an idiot and I played the radio in the background, and of course the evil multicore of musicians decided to slam me with the copyright claim. So I decided to just mute those segments and play a little creepy voiceover explaining things as I go along. Anyway, so it's a scythe, as you can see, that I am restoring for a friend of mine. It's fairly rusted. You see the wing nut here is so rusted that I had to use a plier to get it off, and it broke in the process. Anyway, screw it off. So yeah, there's the blade itself, dull as dishwater. That's a weird term, but anyway, yeah, it's not sharp. It's rusted, pitted, filled with dried grass from days of war, and fairly useless. The shaft itself is, well, as you can see, rusted. The paint has been all flaked off. So I'm just going to clean it up with a wire brush, just to get rid of most of the surface rust itself. Now I'm not going to be polishing it back to bare metal or anything. I'm just going to get rid of the more flaky paints. Just using a scraper here to get rid of most of it. I'm using hammered finish silver and just paint all over the shit. But of course, if I paint over a loose flake, then the flake might just pop off anyway. So a little sandpaper just to give it a nice smooth finish for the paint to adhere to. Checking for smoothness. Very important step. There's my trusted habitat. I've used this, well, not this particular paint, but the same brand and the same type of paint for some old axe heads I had lying around, and it worked quite fine. It's quite durable paint, and this has a hammered finish to it, so it's kind of hard to explain. You can see it at the end product at the end of the video, but if you can imagine have an old bike frame, I guess looks like, with the whole kind of pitted look, little dents. So that's what this lacquer does. It provides a smooth, nice surface with a nice little finish. Certainly better than its previous condition. The handle itself is in okay condition, I guess. The paint itself is old, but there was this little tiny edge between the bolster and the grip itself, and it's just one of those things that no matter how small it is, if you can feel it with your fingers, you're going to be, well, it's going to be annoying, especially when you're working for a few hours with the scythe. It's just one of those things that you just can't get out of your head. So just to smoothen up that transition a bit between the aluminum bolster and the handle itself, just a little rasp and file action. I'm using a cabinet scraper to just get rid of most of the old varnish or lacquer or paint or whatever the hell it was. It was old and beat up anyway. I was going to clean it up but I decided that I'm going to use a black varnish anyway, so I couldn't be bothered. But then I couldn't find my black varnish because I'm a messy person, so I had to use this mahogany colored varnish instead, which turned out better than expected, because apparently it dissolved the old black varnish and just ended up giving me a slightly darker hue to the whole finish. It turned out quite nice, I think. You can see it in the end anyway. So naturally I put on several layers of this varnish, but I felt it was a bit redundant to just have well, there's only so many times you can show applying varnish before it kind of loses its freshness. And I don't want to lose my audience. You are my life, my reason for being. You're not. So I'm just gonna apply a finishing coat of Liberum oil. I've been using this oil for finish for my bows and arrows for many years. It's a really nice oil. Now, depending on how many layers and how thick the layers are, you can just have a nice wooden texture, or all the way up to a very, I don't want to say plasticky, but a very lacquered finish anyway. So yeah, nice and shiny. Using a bit of WD-40 to loosen up some of the grime. As I said, the blade itself is fairly beat up. I mean, the edge itself, nothing too major, but definitely a good amount of chipping, and there's a bit of a kink in the edge itself that I will be cleaning out later in the video, just to kind of clean it up a bit. I don't mean to polish it all the way back to shiny metal, because I will be painting it over with lacquer anyway, but just to establish that edge itself, using a file here, just using the angles given to me by the clever gods of Scythe making, who decided to raise that lip on the back edge, similar to a straight razor, I guess. Just little bits of smartness. So you can see the one side of the scythe is flat, where it will rest on the grass, and the other is raised. If you lay your stone or your file flat, it will just make contact points on the edge itself and the spine, giving you a nice angle. So here's the lacquer. This particular brand is Bengalak, I think, but there's nothing too la-di-da about it. The only reason why I'm using Bengalak is because that's the one I had. It's a nice, shiny, thick, glossy, very good coating ability. Yep, coating ability. It gives a nice, smooth, glossy finish on the underside, or the under surface, as a direct translation would give you. It's more to it than just being shiny. If it's really smooth, then it will glide a lot easier on the grass, and this will help you in your grass killing endeavors quite a lot. At least if you know how to use a scythe. If you do not know how to use a scythe, then yeah, you are a useless person. So the whole duct tape trick I did here was just to not scrape away the lacquer from the spine, whilst just cleaning up the lacquer itself from the edge. And here I am, as mentioned earlier, there was a slight curve or bump or whatever, probably because sometime a few years ago someone tried to cut down a small brush or something and just kind of bent the edge. So just pinning it out with light determined strokes. This anvil, by the way, was made by my father when he was in high school, and the workbench was my grandfather's. So it's 3 generations of slightly awkward, socially inept, infinitely talented people in this frame. Yes. And here's my big ass grinding wheel. Just your average. Yeah, it's a grinding wheel. What do you want? Come on. So I'm just going to give it a good edge again. Grind away enough metal to get rid of most of the big chips and dimps and stuff. Just give it a nice edge. Now I don't have a what you call it, thingamidweeb. Oh god, a jig. That's the one. Or anything to kind of set it in a certain angle and stuff like that. I'm just freehanding it. Not that I have anything against the jig. I mean, Murray Carter has some amazing videos on sharpening knives, and his take on it is that if you use a sharpening jig, you're not really getting the knowledge and experience of sharpening. You're just getting very adept at using a sharpening jig. This is a valid argument, sure, but anyway, if I had a jig, I would probably use it. I do not have a jig, so I don't use it. I use my, I don't think you can see it that well though, but I am using my thumb as a kind of jig, I guess. I'm placing my thumb on the, well, not now, but when the blade is flipped. Come on, cats, flip the blade. Anyway, I use my thumb as a bit of a guide. Just press my thumb against the spine and rest my thumb on the wheel itself. Now this does grind away the skin on my thumb, certainly, but it will grow back. No biggie. Just deburring the edge with a stick. Deburring is an important point, or important step, or whatever, when you're honing. If you're having trouble getting that really nice edge, then it's probably because you have some metal burrs just in your way. So remember to deburr it. And here I am using a fairly coarse waterstone. Again, just freehanding. You can see I'm kind of resting it on the spine there, just giving it that set angle. And the grit is about $200-300 or something. So the edge itself was kind of made on the rotating stone, and just honed more fine with the stone itself. And I'm using this little stone you see here is a Belgian waterstone, which has a grit of approximately 8,000. So it's super fine. It's far too fine for this kind of work. Really, it's more for straight racers and for finer cutlery. But I'm just using it to polish up the edge, get rid of some of the scratches from the coarse stone. Not that it's really necessary, but one does like to make nice things. You can see the edge itself is kind of asymmetrical, so it's very different from sharpening a knife, or a normal knife. I guess one of the the Japanese knives, if you compare them to like a sashimi knife or a deba or something. What are the knives that has an asymmetrical edge, where it's sharp and flat on one side and at an angle at the other side? That might be a bit similar, but it's a big sweeping curve, so it does take a bit of well, I don't want to toot my own horn, as I say, but it does take a bit of knowledge to and experience to sharpen a scythe blade compared to a knife. Just testing the edge with my thumb. Again, there's also, I think I'm doing a paper cutting test just to prove the point later, but when you've been feeling the edge for some time, your fingers learn to tell the difference between a sharp edge and a dull edge. So that's what I use as a quality control anyway. Just touch the edge. So as you can see, it cuts paper just fine. Away with you, filthy paper. Nice and shiny and sharp. Final assembly. You can see there the angle that the blade is attached to. This angle also is quite important. It has a lot to do with your height and all kinds of stuff. There's many things about a fairly simple construction as a scythe that has a deeper meaning. So yeah, here it is. You can see the nice hammered finish of the paint, the darker wood texture, varnished, oiled up grip. So I'm gonna shut up now so you can relax and enjoy the view of the scythe in all its glory. My name is Catsarepointy. Thanks for watching.